Good evening, Winter Park, Rollins College, WPRK. This is Creative Control Radio, and we're your hosts. I'm Elijah.
I'm Mecca.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Matt.
And we are joined today by a very special guest, a friend of mine, soon to be a friend of the entire team here, an executive, a professional, a down-to-earth but well-accomplished individual. Ladies and gentlemen, give it up, please, for Duane Winjum. We are supposed to have a sound effect there. We're having some technical difficulties, but Duane, welcome on to the show.
Thank you. Great to be here, guys. Thanks for inviting me.
Absolutely. Duane, how's your Tuesday going so far? Is this a typical Tuesday and adding a radio show to the end of it, or has it been kind of one of those days?
I wouldn't say it's been one of those days.
Mm-hmm.
It started off a little bit differently, but my day usually starts about 5 a.m.
Okay.
Welcome to hospitality. But it's been a busy one, but it's been a great day. Of course, I love this time of the year, so the weather makes it all good.
Is it the weather that makes the time of the year, or is it the time of the year that kind of fits the weather for you? Is it the holiday season? I'm getting at something here too.
You are, huh? Okay. I feel like I'm being led down the path here. I think for me it's when, you step outside and you immediately just don't melt anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
that's a big part of it.
That's a big part of it. And then all of a sudden I can go to Publix and I can buy pumpkin spice creamers for my coffee, And, okay, things are changing and things are good.
Yeah, it's noticeable. It's
very noticeable.
I'm a huge Christmas guy myself, to the point that my friends tease me about it. But I just love the season, and for no more than it being the season. It's the movies, and it's the intangible things, some things that you mentioned, but the intangible things like the TV selection, the weather, movies that are out. It's just a whole different kind of vibe that I love.
Yeah. My wife. If I would give in, the house would be decorated for Christmas July 5th, I think.
Yeah.
And we've come to an agreement that it will be after Halloween.
Okay.
Usually the first weekend after Halloween, the boxes start coming down and our entire inside of our house turns into the North Pole. Yeah. It's actually, she does a fabulous job. It's beautiful when she gets done.
Well, I commend her for waiting until after Halloween. It's
well, I wouldn't say she put up a good fight.
Yeah. Great. Hunter.
What's up?
Freaky Phil. The people are dying. We weren't on the radio last week, so the people are dying to know, man, what'd you have for breakfast not only this week, this Tuesday, but last Tuesday as well?
I honestly don't remember last Tuesday.
Okay.
Yeah. Probably wasn't anything eventful. But today it's just a protein shake and a banana bread muffin.
If you have to work at the hotel, is it does that heavily affect your heavily affects your breakfast?
Yeah, usually it's like an apple or something.
Okay.
And maybe some toast later on, but yeah. It does definitely affect it cuz getting out there early, you don't really want to eat stuff usually. At least right when you get up.
Yeah.
You got to kind of get into everything.
Nice. Matt Motion.
Yes, sir.
How are you doing, man?
I'm pretty good. How are you doing?
Living up to that name, Motion, huh?
It's nothing.
Days back to back. All right, where you at? Was that Halloween Horror Nights recently? I hope I didn't steal the best thing that you've seen this week.
No, it's okay. I mean, I feel like we're probably all going to have a similar best thing we've seen this week.
Yeah.
But, I went on Sunday night to Halloween Horror Nights.
Was that strategic, or that was just the day you wanted to go? I know
my
some
friends
people
were just
try
going
not to
that
get
day, and
involved.
I kept forgetting to go.
Okay.
All this time, even though I wanted to, and then they mentioned it, and I was like, yeah, let's do it. So,
I guess it's wrapping up soon, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah.
probably another week or two. Yeah.
Interesting. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
All is well, and LaMecca, last but not least.
What's up, man?
How's it going, man?
It's going well.
Yeah. Big Tuesday guy?
Yeah, because
Tuesday after the show? Oh, that was sweet. Duane, our next segment is the best thing we've seen this week. It can be quite literally anything that you've seen either on a screen, TV, movie. It can be your niece's dance recital. a live sporting event or a sporting event that you rewatched, anything, the best thing you've seen this week. Now, I know Mecca was dying to go first, so Mecca, we'll throw it to you, man.
Should I take everybody's?
I should have went first this time.
I'll go a specific moment, though. It was the show that we put on.
Nice.
On Thursday. It was amazing. But standing up there and
Friday, but go
this
ahead.
Friday, last Friday. It was so crazy. I forgot what day it was. But standing up there and seeing everybody sing Icky Vicky was that was like a bucket list moment for me.
Yeah.
Like just to have like a crowd of people singing my song. It was like I'm sure it'll get bigger, I hope. But man, I didn't think I'd see that this early.
Yeah.
In the journey, so
yeah.
It was great.
Congratulations.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty awesome. Seeing it from behind the scenes and then seeing the media coverage and the photos and videos from it was pretty awesome, too. There was a point where all the phone lights were in the air and they were singing the song, so it was pretty cool. Pretty cool moment to see. Motion.
Yeah, maybe I can just pick a specific moment of that, too. Just seeing, I guess, just seeing the room packed.
Yeah.
Because I was wondering, we sold out of tickets, so I figured we were going to have a good turnout, but I just wasn't sure how much was going to actually convert, Yeah. And, just looking in the room and just seeing it packed out, seeing a lot of my friends come out, and new faces too, and everyone was just having a really good time. Yeah, but the turnout was, I was pretty happy with it. And like for our first event, it was good, but it was good anyway. But like especially for our first event, went really well.
I agree.
Yeah,
pretty cool stuff. Phil.
Are we all just picking specific moments from the same night? Or?
Unless you've seen something better than last week.
I can flip it a little bit. I would say just seeing some of the footage and photos captured by the people that we had just there to cover that part of it. It was great. I think Jeff did a good job. I'm working on like an edit right now, so I'm excited to see how that will turn out. But yeah,
awesome.
We'll say that.
Yeah. I think just seeing everyone come together. All the artists, I'm the owner of the venue, and everybody else who was involved, everyone else who just showed up to support or just be a part of the event. I think just seeing it all finally come together and go off without any bad incidents was a major big part for me. That was probably the best thing I've seen this week for sure. That was pretty awesome. Duane, last but not least at all.
Yeah, sure. We live in a world that is, we just are bombarded with so much information and so much media in a lot of directions. So sometimes it's good to figure out how to unplug a little bit and just take in a simple moment. So got home last night, and my wife Linda and I, we have 2 dogs, took them for a walk, and we live near a golf course. And so we're just, doing our thing, just walking along, and all of a sudden she looks up and goes, "Look at that sun." And it was just about sunset. And the way the sun was hitting the clouds and the way the clouds were, they looked like the clouds were painted bright orange and purple. Mm-hmm. One of those moments, you know? And you just kind of stop and you go, "Man, good job up there, guys." That is an awesome picture that was just drawn. So it was, just kind of being in the moment, seeing a beautiful, beautiful sunset. That was mine.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah.
I like that. Great. Yeah. We were just talking about that on the way over here. Sometimes it looks like it's definitely not man-made.
No.
It's too authentic, too pure, too real to be anything like intentionally created, at least by humans. Mm-hmm. Well, great. We're going to go ahead and go to a short musical break here. And when we get back, we'll dive a little bit deeper into our friend here, Mr. Duane Winjum. This is Pleaser by Mecca, our featured artist here. We'll be right back here on WPRK 91.5 Creative Control Radio. And we are right back here on WPRK 91.5. This is Creative Control Radio, and we're your hosts. I'm Elijah.
I'm Mecca.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Matt.
And we are joined again by Duane Winjum here, a longtime hospitality executive, friend of mine, a mentor of mine. Duane, thank you for being on the show here.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure, Elijah. Good to see you again, buddy.
Yeah, I'm used to that verbiage there. My pleasure. Duane, something we ask our guests to do every once in a while, and by every once in a while I mean every single guest that comes on the show,
okay,
is describe themselves in 3 words.
Nobody told me there was a test. Describe
the easiest test of them all.
In 3 words. Gentleman.
Mm-hmm.
Yikes. 3 words. That's one.
Yeah.
That's one. I would say quiet kind of guy.
Yeah.
And third would be humorous.
Humorous.
Yeah. But usually in kind of a sly way.
Yeah.
I like to kind of have it sneak up on you.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes, it's like, how long will it take before they get it?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Oh, now he's laughing. That's always kind of fun.
So, gentlemen. Why the gentleman?
I don't think I had much of a choice on that one.
Yeah.
Growing up, I had Midwestern parents, and they were actually from what was then called the Greatest Generation.
Okay.
And a little more of a formal world that they came from, and so your mannerisms were very important to both of my parents. So. Ladies and gentlemen, please and thank you, and yes, sir, yes, ma'am, things like that was just what the culture that I grew up around. Mm-hmm. So, and actually, it's kind of ironic that it fits so well with being in hospitality.
Correct.
That came very naturally to me.
Do you think that kind of pushed you into hospitality, or not really? You just ended up being in the industry that you excelled in.
Well, I was when I got out of college. We were in the middle of a depression a recession, not a depression. It wasn't in the 1930s. We were in the middle of a recession, and the jobs were hard to find. But Orlando was doing very well at the time, mm-hmm. and with the theme parks. And one of my best friends, his wife, was a recruiter for Hyatt hotels. Mm. And I was talking to her about not having much luck finding what I was looking for. And she says, I think your personality would fit great in the hotel business, and I can get you an interview if you'd like to come in. So I did, and so I guess she was right.
Yeah.
Hospitality did. She saw it in me. I didn't see it in me, but she did.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah.
Great.
And here we are.
And the second one you mentioned, quiet, a little bit more soft-spoken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can blame my mom for that one. Supposedly I was, let's just say, not very quiet as a child. And my mother had been a school teacher before she started having kids. And I can still hear in my ears this famous phrase of hers, which was, Duane, God gave you 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You're supposed to listen twice as much as you talk, and you're not really doing a good job of that right now.
Yeah.
And I kind of learned to be much more of a listener than a talker. And that just sort of developed my personality from a fairly early age.
Oh. Wow.
Yeah.
And the last one kind of sums it up, humorous.
Yeah,
I is that
use,
natural?
I was never the class clown in school,
sure.
but I certainly loved a good joke and have used humor my whole life really as a stress reliever.
Yep.
Break the tension. It's a good filler. If you're not quite too sure, or if you've made a mistake, what's the best thing to do? You make a mistake, make a joke out of it.
Yeah.
Just loosen things up a little bit. So yeah, that's how I look at humor.
I've seen humor, and it's one of those connectors, right, of people. But I've seen humor when used at its like kind of utmost power, defuse or be a bridge to introduce a sensitive or sore subject or topic, or even addressing someone formally. Just using humor softens that blow to where it doesn't even seem like a blow sometimes. My grandfather is a wizard at it.
Is that right? Yeah.
Seemingly, yes. It can be the most serious thing that he needs to bring to your attention or has to discuss or note, and then he'll just kind of add a humorous, so I hear that, just that kind of.
Yeah. I've had in my career times where I was speaking in front of a rather large group, 300, 400, 500 people. And, you get called up and they announce your name. And so you go up and you're the next speaker. And how do you get their attention? Well, sometimes the best thing to do is kind of start off with something kind of humorous because a lot of times they're not expecting that, especially if it's a serious subject.
Yep.
So if you can, and then all of a sudden now you got their attention. And now you can move on. So it can be used that way too. It's good.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
With the gentleman, you mentioned like your parents' generation having that kind of effect on you growing up.
Mm-hmm.
Working with younger generations, have you seen kind of a shift, like maybe it not being as prevalent?
Well, we definitely live in a culture that's a lot more casual.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen that over the decades. Where when I got into the hospitality industry, we wore suits.
Mm-hmm.
And every day it was a tie, and it didn't matter whether it was 55 degrees or 120, you were wearing a suit.
Mm-hmm.
It's just what you did. And then now today, do I own a tie? Yeah. But I don't wear ties anymore.
Right.
I tend to wear a sport coat. But, our society, just in general, has become a lot more casual.
Yeah.
It's just how we're evolving.
Sure.
That's where we are today.
Do you think that's for the best, or is it kind of going the wrong direction, in your opinion? I'm still that guy who's, while I've relaxed a little bit, Mm-hmm.
I'm probably still a little more of the dress guy
Mm-hmm.
than a lot of our society. I think sometimes it looks to me like it's gone a little too far.
Yeah.
If I go to a particular event and somebody walks in and they're wearing sandals and cut off shorts and a T-shirt, and I'm thinking, really, for maybe a charity event or something, it's like I think you could have done a little better than that. Again, going back to my parents, my dad used to always tell me growing up as a kid, he said, it's okay if you're the best dressed guy in the room, but you don't ever want to be the worst dressed.
Yeah.
So he also used to say, if you can't decide, to what level you want to dress, it's always better to dress a little better.
Yeah.
There used to be books on that subject. There was a book a very long time ago called Dress to Impress.
Mm-hmm.
And it's still into this day. If you're meeting somebody for the first time, for all of us, we draw on that first impression. And so what are you looking at? Well, did they do their hair, and how's their smile, and how do they dress?
Mm-hmm.
So appearance, like it or not, appearance matters.
Yep.
Yeah.
Appearance matters.
Absolutely.
That's what a lot of first impressions are based off of, I would say.
100%.
Because it's like first thing you see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Most noticeable too.
It is.
Innately.
And sometimes, to the detriment of the person maybe who didn't dress too well.
Yeah.
And maybe that was a person that you would have really enjoyed meeting and getting to talk to, but because they kind of look a little unfinished in a lot of ways, you're less likely maybe to want to go strike up a conversation with that person, and then you miss out.
Yeah.
That happens.
Mm.
But yeah, we live in a society where first impressions, they matter. They
So
do.
you've seen a lot of change in your lifetime, I
Mm-hmm.
imagine, especially in the hospitality industry.
Yeah.
I'm sure you've hired and terminated and seen essentially at least one different generation of workforce come into play here. You are also mentioned that you grew up with a little bit more formal parenting, formal, structured, as in yes sir, no sir, the manners, the respect for authority, things like that. Why do you think that we have just gotten, and I'm not saying completely away, or not even saying too far away. I think too far away, but just in general, away from that mantra.
What's caused that?
What's caused that? And what do we make of it?
Yeah, I think there's probably a lot of reasons that you can come up with as to what has caused that. I think our interconnected world has got something to do with that. We're more of a blended society now than ever, and I mean on a global level, not just regional or national. I think that's got something to do with it. Social media, just in general, I think has got something to do with it. Every culture or every generation has sort of a counterculture. When I was a kid growing up, the counterculture was the hippies of the 60s. And I remember seeing them, and the long hair and beads and beards and, clothes you'd never seen before. And it's like, well, why did it was that pushback? Yeah. Well, a little bit of that counterculture with each generation kind of sticks around. We don't lose all of it. It doesn't all go away. They don't all turn into suits, And so with time, there's a little bit of that sticks around with each generation, and then that's
becomes bigger and bigger.
Well, it just evolves. I'm a big fan of history for that reason. I mean, you go read in the original language Abraham Lincoln and how he spoke. And you'd be like, well, that's English?
Yeah.
And just in that generational time, it's only been 150 years, but how much our language has changed, let alone look at the clothes. You go back to the earliest days of photography and how people dressed, and then look how they dress today and how much has changed. And that's just because as human beings, we tend not to keep things the same. We just don't. We're always evolving. We're always changing. We're always wanting something a little different, a little more custom to us, and every generation tends to do that. I mean, and this is a fascinating time we're living in now because we've got 5 generations, that are all in the workforce.
Yeah. Wow.
or living, both, in this world of ours. And that's never happened before. We've never had 5 generations at the same time. And so it's fascinating to see the differences as well as how they all interact.
Yeah, really, truly. I mean, it probably could be a Netflix special on that, in my opinion.
I think you should write it all.
Yeah, there's
your next big
things,
idea.
Yeah,
and you got your team right here to help you.
That's right. There's certain things that I hear, explained to me. I guess we all commonly know them as excuses, but. I hear things explained to me, or even certain verbiage or reasons that I'm 27 myself, that I just would never, when I was 19 or 20 or 21 or anything younger or slightly older than that, would have fixed, to say, even if it was the truth or something that popped in my head, I would never say that to maybe my supervisor or just even give an excuse, even if it's, quote unquote valid. And it just speaks a little bit to that kind of gap that's growing, even between people who aren't 10 years apart in age, in regard to just behavior and them getting away from the formalities that I think we're a little bit more honed in on in the past. So
yeah,
it's interesting and difficult at the same time, because what you try to do is put yourself in their shoes, or try to understand where they're coming from, and sometimes I truly can't.
Yeah,
and I'm sure you've had even at larger levels of similar experiences.
Sure. But I don't know when the last time any of you were in a lower grade elementary school or a kindergarten, and look at the kids to see how they're playing and so forth, they all act the same, when they're 4 and 5 and 6 years old. So what happens, 10 years later, and now they're 15 and 16? Well, that's environmental. They've been influenced, whether it be by friends or social media or family members, and sometimes those influences are not the best.
Yeah.
But they gravitate towards them anyway because. One of my, I'm going to change subjects on you, but one of my questions I love to ask in an interview to someone is, who was your hero growing up in your family? Who was that person that you aspired to be? Was it your mom, dad, brother, sister, aunt, uncle, next door neighbor? Describe that person to me. Tell me what that person was like, and why you aspired to be like them. And the reason I ask that question is I'm looking to see if that person that was their mentor growing up was a person who had what I like to call a servant heart, had that hospitality spirit inside of them. I don't care what their industry was, whether they were a teacher or a nurse or whether they were in construction, but how did they treat others? What was their goals in life? And if that emulates the hospitality world that we're looking, that I'm in, then I know that they've already had that base of education that honestly is very difficult to teach. I can teach almost everything, but it's really hard to teach how to have a hospitality heart.
Yeah.
You get that at about age 4 and 5 and 6, those that are around you, and then. Because then it just becomes natural to want to help people, and then you'll find that the hotel industry is right up your alley.
Yeah. Wow. We haven't asked you any specific questions about your when, where, and why, but somehow you've also answered essentially your when, where, and why. Can you speak a little bit about some challenges that you faced at the start of your career, maybe when you were first joining, getting introduced to the industry with Hyatt? Versus some things that you are dealing with now in the industry. How are those things similar? How are they completely different? What has changed?
Sure. Well, when I got into the business, the senior executives in hospitality, they were all of what was called the greatest generation. There was a few early baby boomers as well, but these were folks that came out of World War II, literally. So command and control was the way the hotel industry ran back then, and I'll give you a hint how far back that was. That was in the early '80s.
Okay.
So it's over 40 years ago, and the big challenge for me starting out was really. Getting assimilated to what the hotel industry was really all about. I was very fortunate. I had been working in construction through college, and so when they offered me a job, and they gave me a couple different choices. They said, "Well, I'll put you at the front desk, or I can put you in housekeeping. Which would you prefer?" And I said, "Well, don't put me at the front desk. That scares the bejeebies out of me. I wouldn't know what to do with that. But yeah, I know housekeeping because that's production." It's just good, honest, hard work. And I'd worked in a lumber yard in college, and so that fit me well, and got me off to a good start. But understanding the interconnection of all the departments, that took a little bit of a challenge, and the fact that hotels are such a melting pot of personalities. I worked at a big Hyatt. It was a 1,000-room Hyatt hotel.
Wow. I
We probably had, I don't know. Well, back then you had a lot more employees too. We probably had almost 1,000 employees.
Wow.
And so and they were from everywhere. So getting used to all the cultural differences was really cool. And it was a good learning experience too. It really, really was. Fast forward to today. And back then, it was really what was important was your IQ. How smart were you? how fast could you learn stuff, and then just work hard. Fast forward to today, and it's all about EQ, your emotional quotient. And Elijah and I have had a conversation on that, yes. And the importance of that component in today's world. We are in a time where we have more generations in the workplace than ever, so you have to learn to be able to work with so many different groups, not only in cultural differences, but then also generational. Mm-hmm. Technology, has dramatically changed the hospitality industry as well. We use more technology than we ever have, and it's made its way into every department in a hotel nowadays. So while you don't need to be an IT expert, you do need to have a pretty decent understanding of the technology that you're using. It's more than just a phone.
Right.
There's all kinds of different devices that we use and interfaces that we're using, and things that are cloud based and some that aren't. And we use terms today that didn't even exist when I got started. Bluetooth didn't exist. When I got in the hotel business, we had a computer room. That was bigger than most people's homes, that was kept at about 60 degrees, giant computers, that ran the front desk system. And nowadays, the computing power on my phone is probably greater than that whole computer room was in that first hotel that I worked at. Wow. So technology's dramatically changed things as well. So, yeah, I'd say those are the big differences: is technology, the fact we have so many generations in the workplace that we didn't before, and how the emotional component, the emotional quotient, has really taken over from which really was never something ever taught or discussed when I got in the hotel business. Mm-hmm. And nowadays it matters. It matters a lot.
Yeah. Do you think there's some middle ground to be made there? I imagine to accomplish what you've accomplished and get to where you have gotten, IQ and just being an intelligent person overall has been a big part of that. Now we're living in a day and age where EQ, like you just mentioned, is prevalent, even more prevalent than maybe how much you can know and compute and translate and do. Do you think there is the perfect executive, the perfect manager, someone who has IQ and EQ, or does one truly just outweigh the other?
I think in today's world, EQ still has, I'd say I would give it twice the weight of IQ.
And why is EQ so powerful and important? Or prevalent, should I say?
If you're in the hospitality industry or really any industry, and your role is in a position of needing to lead others, in today's world, you have to be able to understand how are you going to do that. And it's not just a question of pointing your finger at somebody and say, go do that. There has to be a certain level of buy-in. And as well as if you truly want to have an effective team, you can't just simply stand over them all the time. First of all, your blood pressure will get too high trying to do that. That's no good for you. So, how do you get your team to do what you want them to do, whether you're there or not? And you want them to do it because they want to do it, and they see a benefit to them for doing it. So there's an art to that, and EQ is really about the art of leadership, and it's a question of being able to find the heart in that other person, and what is it that they are really trying to get out of this role that they're in, or what are their career aspirations, or why do they even care to have a paycheck? What are they going to do with that money? How are they going to use that? What motivates them? Sometimes people will say, well, the easiest, everybody's motivated by money. Well, yes and no.
Right.
I mean, we're motivated by money to a certain point. to where we feel comfortable with our lives. And then after that, money becomes less and less important. Then other things become more important. Things like being acknowledged, being given an opportunity to do something beyond what I do today. It's growth. It's being able to feel that you are giving back, or that you've made a difference in somebody's life in some way. And so as a leader, you have to be able to customize to each individual that you're leading those qualities that you're looking for, that you want them to have. So the best scenario you're looking for is to have an individual who loves what they do, who is on board with the overall direction of the organization, to the point where they even feel like they're the ones who have made the decisions necessary to be successful. And you get that kind of entrepreneurial spirit out of a member of your team. That's when you really have a great organization, one that whether you're there or not, is going to be working at a level of excellence.
Yeah, that's the dream. That's the goal.
Yeah, man.
I can't imagine that you would have stayed in hospitality for so long if it didn't fulfill you in some way. I'm wondering, like, what specifically about it kind of feeds you or feeds your soul or makes it worth it at the end of the day.
Well, I have ADD, so actually, I do have a mild case of it. But what I love about it is the diversity to it. It's the old saying, no 2 days are ever the same. Well, that is not just a line in the hotel world and in hospitality. There truly are never 2 days the same. Every guest is different. Every scenario is different. Every event is special and different in some ways because you're dealing with people. It's a people business, and it's about creating an environment that the individuals that are coming to you, they're looking for a certain experience, and so if you can create that for them, it's magical, literally magical, and so that's what's fun. And that's what's fun for me is it could be something very simple. I mean, I've made people's day just simply by a greeting card that they receive, or somebody arriving early in the morning and being able to get them checked into a room that they didn't expect they were going to be able to do. So it's not always doesn't have to always be something huge, but just being able to make somebody's day in some small way is one of the things that I thoroughly enjoy about it. But yeah, it's never ever the same. No 2 days. So just that diverse, and you never know who you're going to meet.
Oh yeah,
and that's pretty cool. I was walking through the lobby one day, and this fellow walked up to me, and totally did not expect this very, very thick Irish accent. I mean, very thick Irish accent. Thinking, how in the world did you find me here in Altamont Springs? But he and his wife were on vacation, and they didn't want to be down near the Disney Hotel, so they stayed with me. A lovely couple had a nice little chat, about their vacation plans and their trip. You just never know who you're going to meet.
Yeah.
And that makes it fun too.
Yeah. It does. Great. We're going to take another short musical break here. WPRK 91.5. Little Icky Vicky, another song by our featured artist here, Mecca. We'll be right back here on WPRK 91.5 Creative Control Radio. And we're right back here on WPRK 91.5. This is Creative Control Radio, and we're your hosts. I'm Elijah.
I'm Mecca.
I'm Hunter.
I'm Matt.
And we are here with the ever so wise, the ever IQ high and emotionally quotiented Duane Winjum,
Thank you.
master of both worlds. Thank you for joining us here on the show today.
My pleasure again.
Yeah. Giving us knowledge on and off air. This next segment, however, has little to do with knowledge and more to do definitely with emotional, I think, criteria. It is called Happening Hypotheticals with Hunter. Hunter takes us through a series of hypotheticals, both silly and serious, and we just answer as truthfully or non-truthfully as you'd like, but just hypotheticals.
Okay.
Freaky Phil, take it away.
All right. So this one, it's more catered towards you, but we can all answer this. Just change it to your career field.
Sure.
But if you could go back to when you were first getting your start in the hospitality industry,
Mm-hmm.
what would you tell yourself and why?
What would I tell myself?
You talking like day one?
Yeah. Maybe like first year, but...
First year in?
Yeah.
Oof.
Don't take yourself so serious.
Mm.
Yeah, that's probably the first thing I would say. I was so focused on wanting to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
I think there were times where I didn't have fun when I could have. A lot more fun with it than I could have. Yeah. Don't forget to include fun in every day.
Yeah.
That's important. Yeah.
When you say that, you said like you're more worried about just doing like a good job, I guess, instead of like, living in it. And
Yeah, I'd say it was, and again, it's a cultural thing. The leaders that I was that were dictating to me what I needed to do. It was get the work done. It's got to get done right. Get it done fast. Get it done as efficiently as possible. And if you do that and you work hard, then you'll get an opportunity to get a promotion and move up in your career. And it was really that simple is what they were telling us. And nobody really ever talked about enjoying the journey.
Mm-hmm.
And as we're a lot better about doing that today.
Mm-hmm.
I think is about enjoy the journey of your career.
Sure. Huh. Yeah.
That's a good way to think of it.
I guess applying it, well, I mean, I'm not that deep into my hospitality career. But I don't know, first week or first day, I guess I would tell myself maybe the exact same thing. Yeah, I don't know if I'd really tell myself anything. I would tell myself to invest sooner into a better wardrobe, kind of what we were talking about earlier about appearance and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think I was ever appeared poorly, but I think there was times where I definitely didn't put as much stock in it, contrary to my mom's jacket's wrinkled, iron that, press that, all that kind of stuff. I definitely take it serious now. But before, I think I could have focused a lot more on my appearance. And I think it's I'll say a youth thing, maybe, because as I get older, it just seems like common sense. Like, iron your shirt. Like, there's no chance I'd go out there with a wrinkled shirt. You know what I mean? Like, why would you do that? But then when I was coming up and as I see other young professionals get their start in hospitality or anything, it is so easy and quick to just wear and put on. If your outfit is all black to work, for example, it's so easy to quick to put on just some black shoes that aren't quite black, and then pants that are a different shade of black, and then a shirt that's slightly different shaded black or faded or something, and then just use that as a uniform, as opposed to setting yourself apart with the small things. Having an iron shirt, having a consistent shirt and pants set. Obviously, it's not life or death serious, but if I could go back and tell myself one thing, I'd say just stay polished. Polish early.
Yeah.
Polish often as you can.
Mom knew.
Yeah, she still does. Shouts out to you, Mom, if you're listening.
There you go.
I guess I would say kind of disconnect from the outcome of what I was doing and focus more on the process. In a way, to me, that's kind of like the don't take yourself too serious, because I felt like I was very focused on, like, what if people don't like this song, or, like, what if it's not good enough? And I realized I would have made so much more progress, and I would have been a lot happier if I was able to just, create and then, let it go and make progress on the next one and iterate and make my adjustments, but to keep the flow of things going and kind of perfect my process rather than just worrying about, the final product, because no one's great at stuff when they first start, you know. And if I had realized that and kind of like gotten over, I think I would be a little further ahead than I am now. But it's the journey.
Real quick, Duane, while it's on the top of my head, process-wise, is the journey more important than the destination, or is the kind of destination, the outcome, the most important facet?
Elijah, we all have the same destination.
Yeah.
Okay? Nobody gets out of this journey alive.
Yeah.
So it's all journey.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't believe in destination, quite frankly.
Okay.
To me, it's all journey.
In the sense of a workplace, maybe getting a large project done, or having to collaborate with the entire hotel to get something done, is it more like whatever we have to do to get it done, or is it more kind of process-driven, journey-driven? When me and him kind of co-founded this creative control thing, we have not kind of co-founded this creative control thing, and we both, approached the business aspect head on, but slightly differently in regard to, he's a lot more process and how things are going, journey, the journey, mm-hmm. like he's the journey is what's pivotal there, and then for me, it's a lot more like as long as we get it done and this show goes off without a hitch, you know what I mean? It's whatever it takes. And I don't think there's a right or wrong answer, but I think it's almost like the individual's preference.
Well, I think both of you honestly are on the same page, and you're kind of saying the same thing. It is for you too, Elijah. It is still process, but for you, you're looking at the process from the completion backwards, whereas Mika is looking at the process from the beginning forward. But both of you really are still process driven. There's the old saying, begin with the end in mind, and many times that's what we want to do. We say we want to be at a certain point. We want to have something completed, and many times in order to do that, it's good to actually work through that. What are the processes that you're going to have to do, but go through them backwards versus going through them forwards. And there's a lot of examples of that in different industries, but in project management, which was actually one of my majors in college. A lot of times we would work through things backwards, but either way, it's still process.
Yeah, interesting. Motion. Anything you tell to a younger Motion, career-wise?
I don't know. I mean, I'm still pretty early on. I got a long amount of time ahead of me, long journey ahead of me. So, as far as career stuff, not really.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess maybe something similar to what Duane was talking about just focusing on like living in the moment. I think sometimes it's good to like plan what you're going to do in the future, what you want to do in the future, but I think it would be better if, like, I would plan it and then continue thinking about the future when it's like it's already planned. I don't need to just focus on like the day to day, like what you're doing every day, because it's already like it's outlined. You don't need to continue thinking about it or think about how much work you have ahead of you, because you already know what you have to do. Just focus on the day to day. So that maybe, I guess,
Sure. I know it's always interesting when we ask if you could speak to your younger self questions, because what comes to mind and what we talk about is how your younger self would receive the advice that he's been given by this older version of you, or older person in general. And, I didn't say I would tell my younger self the EQ over IQ, because I don't know if and until I had the experience like I had there with the EQ being championed over IQ, I would have been able to quite understand that. I think I was a lot more separating EQ from work, because I kind of, I guess, to how I was brought up, it was, there was not a lot of room for emotion, especially when it comes to getting things done or work. It doesn't matter how you feel. It matters the job. And that was primarily targeted at sports at the time. But then, of course, going into the workforce, you're not calling out because you're tired or you don't want to go to work that day. It's a lot more up here than it is here. And I know we're on radio, so nobody could see me touch my head or my heart. But it was interesting one to learn. And I don't know if I would have been able to tell myself that at the start of this journey, because that wouldn't have made a lot of sense to me in that regard.
Mm-hmm. You and I had a conversation, and we were talking about EQ, and I shared a couple of examples of that in our society today. If you think about, we sometimes like to think we're very logical beings, but we're not. In fact, we're terrible at it, and we are so emotionally driven. And if you're wondering if that's true or not, look at the shoes that you're wearing. How many different kinds of shoes are each one of us wearing, and why? Yeah. Why is that? And how did we end up picking out those shoes? Why don't we all just wear the same kind of shoes as everybody else every day? We gravitated towards that particular pair of shoes for some reason, whether it was the price or the color or the style or the size or whatever. Cars, when Henry Ford was asked about his Model T when he first made that car, and somebody said, well, what colors does it come in? And he said, you can get this car in any color you want as long as it's black. And that's all he made was a black car. How many different colors of cars are there today? Why? What does it matter? What does the color matter to the car? Well, that's pure emotion. Mm-hmm. And we draw all of our decisions at the end of the day are emotionally driven. We like to think that we're very, logical creatures, and we rationalize to ourselves that we're making our decisions, based on good, sound, factual ideas. But at the end of the day, it's that little voice in your head, that little emotional voice, or maybe your heart beating just a little bit faster. He says, I really want that. Yeah. I really, really want that over this one. This one's nice, but this one's nicer. I want this one. Yeah, and we do that.
Huh.
Wow. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that day with your human resources person,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Phil, you got another one for us?
Yep. If you had to pick a different career path today that's completely unrelated to hospitality, what would you pick and why? I know you said that the teaching thing, but...
Mm-hmm. Oh, boy. I would probably go into the medical field. I don't know if I would have been a doctor or not, but I would probably be doing something in the medical field. Okay. Because it's a fascinating blend of technology, which I minored in IT in college. I thought that was going to be my direction, was going to be computer science, but discovered it wasn't in time. But the medical field is such a fascinating blend of technology blending with this need to help somebody, who's usually dealing with some kind of medical issue, whether it's for a good reason or not a good reason. And many times it's even life-threatening and I think I probably would have enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I would, I guess, similar in the gravity and seriousness of the career, I would probably try to do something in the law enforcement side of things, but maybe like intelligence agency or FBI, something where you're dealing with some pretty serious things and having to apply yourself as strenuously as possible to figure out a dire circumstance or something.
Oh.
I watch too much 24. Do you know 24?
Yeah.
Yeah, Jack Bauer. But no, but really, I feel like that's something I would I don't know about excel at, but I would at least enjoy on some level, solving problems. Really, unconventionally solving problems, because there's no one best way to do anything. I think in that world, detective work and whatnot. So.
That's pretty cool.
I think we got this question before, didn't we?
Yeah.
Something like that. I think it would be probably a scientific field. I love experimenting and
Mecca the chemist,
exploring and kind of discovering new things. So I think that would kind of feed me, just the opportunity to explore something that we might not know about.
You talking like deep space or ocean?
I'm interested in space. I like quantum physics. It's very
wow.
It's hard to understand.
The fourth
that
dimension.
Just stuff that really is kind of counterintuitive to how we think now, but it's just, I don't know, there's so much to explore,
The big fella's a really smart guy.
Yeah. Quantum physics. Wow.
I'm not saying I understand it, but it's just very interesting,
Discover time travel or something like that.
Yeah.
Motion.
I don't know. Honestly, I've been thinking about it. I think as a kid for a little bit, I thought about maybe wanting to be a nurse. I think it's because my mom works in the hospital industry, so being around that a lot, I thought that was cool. So yeah, maybe something in there. I don't know if I'd want to be a doctor, but maybe a nurse or something scientific would be cool as well. I don't know what area specifically though.
Yeah.
But maybe something like what Micah was saying, something, with a lot of unknown there, a lot of things to be discovered. Yeah, would be pretty interesting.
I can see you in medical research.
Okay, yeah, that's valid. That's valid. Yeah,
I can see that.
What about you?
I want to say maybe graphic design or something.
It's not too dissimilar.
Yeah, I know. Kind of cheating a little bit, but just off the top of my head, I would say something with that kind of visual media, I guess.
Yeah.
But again, those are really intertwined. I would say music.
Yeah.
And man, visual media is exploding with AI now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can only imagine.
It's crazy the stuff they're doing.
I'm curious to see the future of AI. I mean, we're already living with it now, and it's being used heavily, I would say, in a lot of industries. But I don't think we've figured out the full potential of it, and it's only going to get better.
It's in its infancy.
So,
It's
yeah.
in its infancy.
I think it's just the future is going to be similar to the NIL deals, the name, image, and likeness in college sports, at least. I think it's just going to be heavily regulated at a point in time, to where, to the point of people getting arrested probably for doing certain things with AI. I think heavy government regulation. Hopefully there's no huge kind of crisis, apocalyptic Terminator style events that happen, but then it gets regulated. But I think regulation is coming, because it is. Some of the stuff I'm seeing now, and I'd like to say that I'm pretty up to date on certain things, iPhone wise, visually. You can't tell. You can't tell. Somebody could show you a AI generated picture or video of yourself doing something, and you'd be like, "Well, that does look like me." That I would say that's me. It's very much left to its own devices right now.
There's a Netflix special right now with Bill Gates, and it's a series of shows, and one of the series is him talking about AI and kind of how it got started, and then where it is today and where it's going, and it's amazing. It truly is. Yeah. And of course, you're right, because most of the movies we've heard about or seen about AI, they're all apocalyptic. All of them. But as soon as Mika builds his first quantum computer and puts AI software in it, I don't know. Arnold Schwarzenegger might be showing up.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That'd be sweet. Do we have one more?
Yeah. So imagine the whole hotel industry in Orlando has gone fully virtual. What kind of virtual experience would you create to give guests an authentic taste of the city? I know it's
A taste of the city.
Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Or Orlando as a whole.
yeah. Funny you should put it that way. Over the years, I've met some wonderful families, and there's one particular family from outside of London that I have now known for about 25 years. And they tend, for many, many years, they would come every year. And of course, now the kids have all grown up and moved away, and I haven't seen them in a few years. But every time they come, last time they were here with and my wife and I, first thing they'll say is, "We want to go out to dinner with you guys, but we don't want to go into touristy places. Show us some place where the locals go." So usually we'll find some off restaurant that's not a part of a chain. Some of the restaurants here in Winter Park on Park Avenue are great examples of that. They're smaller organizations, unique experiences, unique menus. So yeah, I would probably do that. I would show parts of Orlando and Winter Park that are away from the tourist destinations, places like Park Avenue, downtown Orlando, Orange Avenue, Wall Street. Elijah knows Wall Street, and Lake Eola, Lake Ivanhoe, some of the parks around in the city, I'd stick to places like that, to show them the Orlando that's not part of the theme parks.
Nice. That was a very Duane specific question, so I think we'll not go around the ring with that one. Duane, the question I had, kind of completely unrelated. Have you ever had the circumstance where you sent your resume in or anything for an interview, and someone thought that you were an African American based off of your first name?
Yes.
I imagine. Where did your name come? Have you ever asked, why'd you name me Duane?
I did.
Yeah.
I did ask that question. So I had an uncle, and his first name was Wayne, W-A-Y-N-E, and it was my dad's older brother. And so my dad wanted to name me after him. And my mother said, "We're not going to have another Duane Winjum in the family. Not going for it." So my mother went through a baby book, found the name Duane, thought it was close enough to kind of give my dad a little bit of a pat on the back, but she just liked the sound of it. Yeah. She just liked the sound of it. But culturally, it's interesting how names fit into different cultures, and even as far back as I can remember, like in 5th grade, one of my best friends was a kid, and his first name was also Duane, and he was African American. Mm-hmm. But he was my buddy because we were both the two Duanes in the school in the 5th grade. Yeah.
Yeah. Dwayne Wade, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson. That's interesting.
Yeah. But that has happened to me. I've surprised a few folks. I never forget. I walked into a room one time, and this guy goes, "Duane Winjum, you sound like you should be a football player or something with that name." And here he is come onto the field, Duane Winjum. Yeah. I'm like, "Nice to meet you, sir."
Yeah, I'd like to see it on the political banner one day.
Oh,
have my vote.
No, that's
electable name.
No. I'm the guy who's going to help you get elected. I'm the guy behind the scenes.
Awesome.
Do we have time for one more question?
Yeah.
Not a hypothetical, but you mentioned one of your favorite interview questions before. Do you have any favorite interview answers that you've gotten?
From that question or just in general?
Just in general.
Just in general.
I'm sure you've done some interesting interviews and you've seen some.
Wow, yeah. Yeah. Man, you're going to make me think there for a minute on that one. It's funny. Some people come in and they're so polished, and you can tell they've read all the right books, or they of course nowadays they went on LinkedIn and they watched a couple of videos on how to be an effective interviewee, and they come up with some great answers, and you're like, okay, good. That's not very authentic, but you did your homework. Congratulations on that. And then you have those folks who are very authentic and speak to the heart. And those are probably the ones that I get the biggest kick out of. When you ask somebody like, if you could work in any industry, what would it be? And I remember I had somebody one time said they wanted to be a chocolate taste tester. I thought that was pretty. I said, "Can I find that job and call me? Because I'll come with you." That was a pretty good one. And then you have those oddball ones where you ask somebody like, what interests you about the hotel business? Why would you want to get into this as a career? And it was like, well, I don't know. It's just that it's close to home. You get an answer like that, or okay.
Moving on.
Moving on. Next question, please. What's your favorite animal? And it's scorpion. Okay, no. This is not for you. This is not for you.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's funny the things people will come up with. Like I said, I've had some great interviews and really good answers, and then you get folks who I think this was just a check mark on a box. It was to come in for this particular interview. You can kind of tell.
Or somebody pushed them to it.
Pushed them to it, yeah. Or I used to get the one of, well, my mom's in the industry or my dad's in the industry. And it's like, yeah, but why are you interested in it? Sometimes you have to do a little digging on that one, whether or not it's like, okay, God bless your mom and dad for giving you some advice, but at the end of the day, you're the one who's got to decide on your career.
That's right.
Don't just do it because they're telling you to do it.
Yeah, I'll share a story too. An interview that I did recently. We were hiring for a position in the hotel I'm at. I'll leave out a lot of details on purpose just in case this person's listening. But I was doing an interview, and we always have two managers. You sit with one manager, and then you sit with another one, simultaneously. And he came in, and it was for a supervisor role, so he's going to be managing or leading other people is the goal. And he came in, and his interview was decent. He had some answers to all the questions we had asked. But the most noticeable thing outside of his attire was he had a blue bank bag with him, like one of the bank bags that you transport money with. Yeah, exactly. A blue bank bag with him at this interview, sitting on the table.
Don't open it.
Yeah. So I'm a little bit more reserved, I guess, when I interview people. And I didn't ask about the bag. It was slightly, I won't say concerning, but slightly eye-catching, attention-grabbing, but I didn't ask about the bag. Now, the co-manager that I was doing the interview with, he interviewed with him next, and he's not reserved. He'll ask anybody anything at any time. But he also didn't ask the man directly in the interview the first time. So we come together after we both sat with him at separate times, and we talk about it. And he's this, he's that, and then we say, "So you saw that bank bag, right? Does he have the bank bag up there when he met with you?" He's like, "Yeah, he did. He had it on the table." Like, okay. Did he say anything to you about it? He's like, "No, he didn't say anything to me." He's like, "Okay, all right." So we go back over and we're just going to tell him, we'll contact him the day after or, a few days after, whatever, and let you know with our decision. And we go and tell him that. And before he gets up to leave, we're shaking hands. And, my co-manager asked, he's like, hey, man, I got to ask. He's like, what's in the bag and why'd you bring it? And the guy looks at us, both of us, and he says, do you really want to know? And we're like, and my co-manager, true to form, as soon as he thinks it, he'll say it. He says, do we want to know? Did you not want to know? And he opens it and he shows us, and it's about $10,000 in cash just sitting in that blue bank bag right there during the interview, right up there while we're talking to him. And he shows us, and he takes the money out, and it's all hundreds, all blue bills. He takes it out in stacks of hundreds, and we're, trying to keep our composure. But, and we're like, okay, where's the money from, or why did you bring the bag? Just what's going on here? Yeah. It could be anything. He could have just left his last, and he said he was coming from his other job to apply for this one. He could have taken their bank bag, and him leaving our property looks like he's walking out with our bank bag. Just obviously, there's multiple reasons why you probably shouldn't bring $10,000 cash to an interview. And he says that he did it for good luck, and he keeps money on him at all times, so he can have good luck just going around. And we told him we'd contact him next day with our decision there. That was probably one of the most interesting interviews I'd ever done.
I can imagine. I can only imagine.
Yeah, that was. I didn't really know what to make of that, but it was alarming, too alarming, if you will.
Yeah, I would say that probably while it may or may not bring him good luck, who knows? But I would think it would not be much of a benefit in the interview process.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How do you bring that into the conversation? I don't think you do.
No. You just wait for someone to ask, and I guess you tell them.
Yikes.
Yeah. Yikes indeed. It is about that time. We're wrapping up. We can get into shout-outs. Freaky Phil, Hunter, who we shouting out today, man?
I want to thank you for coming on, first of all. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you.
Insight, for sure. Friends and family, you guys, all the artists that performed, and everybody who showed up at the concert last Friday. That's it.
Sweet.
Yeah, I'll say the same, too, with you coming on, the artists coming on for the show, and everyone who showed up, and then shout out to the whole team. We pulled it off. Shout out to Iman, everyone at Zico Space. Shout out to my mom, my dad, family, everyone listening. Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, shout out to everybody who came by, supported us at our first event. That was really awesome. Really appreciate y'all. All the artists who performed too. Shout out to Duane and Lynn for joining us today in the studio. Shout out to my mother. I hope you're listening, Mom. And everyone who supports us week after week. Really appreciate y'all.
Yes. Duane will say the best for last in you. So shouts out to you, of course, coming on the show.
Thank you.
You didn't have to do this, didn't have to make time for it. There's no reason that you specifically have to come here and spread knowledge and educate us young next generation folk on your expertise. So we really appreciate it.
Thank you.
And thank you for coming on the show.
My pleasure. I've enjoyed it very much. Nice meeting all you guys. Never stop learning.
Yeah.
I always think of myself more as a student than anything else, but at the same time, any opportunity you have to pay it forward, and you always will, pay it forward. You can't take it with you. You can't take that knowledge with you, so pay it forward.
Yeah. Awesome. Will do.
Yeah, man.
Shouts out to everybody listening with us week after week, all the Creative Control fans, people that we are fortunate to work with, all the videographers, media that we had at our last showcase. Thank you all for doing that. Coda, His name was
Mark.
I know we had a gentleman named Austin there, and then Jeff, of course. And then all of our friends who came out to support. And then the artists as well. That was a great event, great show, great catalyst that we're going to use to build off of. And shouts out to you guys, man. We pulled off our first show. We will be back next week with another guest host, I believe from the fashion industry, something that Mecca's getting into here himself. But that's it for this week. Duane, again, thank you for coming on the show. We really appreciate you. We hope to have you on again sometime. Everybody out there listening, we'll see you next week. We'll take you out how we usually do. A little Sweet Love, Mecca's favorite song from his favorite artist. We'll be back next week.